Go ice this puppy. Come on. Take us to the title game, Saquon. 1st and 10 for Philadelphia. 4:47 to go. They're up 7 on their own 23. Hurts in the gun. Takes the snap. He's going to give to Saquon Barkley. Left
Go,
side.
baby, go.
Saquon Barkley.
Go.
Big hole. Saquon.
No way. No way.
He's gone.
No way.
He's gone.
Oh, my gosh. Let's go. We're going to the NFC Championship.
A few moments later.
Oh, come on. Please, please, please.
I'm going to throw up. Bird season on the line here. They need 11. Ball's at the 22-yard line.
Come on.
Stafford in the gun. 4th and 11. 5 in the play clock.
One more. Just
4 in
one
the play
more.
clock.
Give me
3
one
in the
more.
play clock. Takes a
One
snap.
more.
4-man pressure. Stafford looking right, throwing right. That's going to be incomplete.
Yes!
Incomplete.
We're going.
Incomplete.
Oh, my
It's
gosh.
over. It's over.
Oh,
They
my
did it.
gosh. Oh, my gosh.
Oh, my gosh.
Bro, this was the wildest, totally most unnecessary way for this game to. Wow. That was
fun.
It was fun. Yeah, that's one way to put it. I think we all lived through it, and we're still getting to the process, I believe, of like fully recovering, whether it's their medication or however we cope to that. But the fact that the Eagles won obviously makes it a million times better. Thomas, are you recovered? You good to go? I know you had a lot of nauseousness during the game, after the game. How you doing?
It's wild how red my face looks after watching it back here. That's the first time I've seen that one. Goodness gracious. Yeah, I was pretty sick. I mean, it was like we mentioned in that little opener there. We thought the Eagles had won it, and then a couple minutes later, they are a player away from losing it, and in the end, they win it. So very fun. I recovered. I'm ready to go for Sunday. It feels like the week is actually kind of flying by, Josh. Being Wednesday, obviously jumping on here for our Wednesday live show. Probably getting into exactly what went down at practice today, and that'll be more injury updates here in a second. But the game is Sunday. It's 3 o'clock on Sunday. Like, it's coming pretty quickly, and I'm pumped. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to win this thing.
Heck yes. We're going to be there before you know it. And speaking of being there, I am going to spin because people were asking. I did it kind of thinking that it wasn't necessarily going to happen, put the good vibes out there. I said if the Commanders beat the Lions and the Eagles won, we would host the NFC Championship game. I'd give away tickets. I'm going to be honest, I did not exactly think that was going to happen. I did think we would win. I was more so leaning towards we're probably going to go to Detroit, but it happened, so I'll be spinning for that towards the end of the stream. Good luck to everybody else. Appreciate all the support. And then on that note, I guess, Thomas, you and I, as planning to go there. We're finalizing details, but it seems like we should be in that direction. So for people that are going to be going to the game or might be around the area, who knows? You may see two guys that look similar to us.
There you go. Yeah, one's really tall and one's really short. That's the best way to spot us as we walk around there. Look for someone who's like 6'4" and someone who's 5'9", and then it's probably us. So easy enough.
What's the good luck charm? We'll just say this. What's the good luck charm you going with? Is it jersey? You go with the specific attire for this upcoming game?
Yeah, it's a midnight green Devontae Smith jersey with the old Eagles logo on it. It never lost.
Yep.
When wearing it at the link, and it was the one I wore at the last NFC Championship game 2 years ago when I was there with you. So that would be my good vibe jersey that I'm going to go ahead and rock. What about you?
Yeah, I was going to say, we shouldn't change up anything. So I was wearing the A.J. Brown jersey. So it feels like that needs to be mandatory. I'll wear the A.J., you wear the Smitty. Don't change anything up. We won last time. And ironically, it's going to be basically like the same type of weather, too. I mean, you look at the temperature it was in the Niners game 2 years ago. A little bit of maybe potential of precipitation there also. So, I don't know, a little bit of similarities. But I'm excited about this matchup, man. And we're going to get into it. Obviously, injury news, updates there. Also with some roster moves that Howie Roseman's been making. Some active for Britton Covey. Open up the practice window. Perhaps we see him slide into the role of punt returner. Coop's been fantastic. He did have the very brief muff that he's able to get on.
A little
so
bit.
we're okay. But, overall, he's been fine.
Yeah, I think Covey coming back is kind of an underlooked thing that's happening right now on Twitter. I mean, people are kind of going, oh, cool, Britton Covey, move on. Does it guarantee he's going to play this Sunday? No. They could open the practice window now the way he plays in the Super Bowl. My guess, though, if you wanted to be a punt returner, you'd want him to play in this game before the Super Bowl. So I'm going to say he plays, but we'll see. The thing it does, though, Josh, is it keeps Cooper DeJean out of having to play on special teams. And not necessarily the biggest deal in the entire world. But in, the 19th game of the NFL season for the Philadelphia Eagles, when Cooper DeJean's been following Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp and had a very, very good defensive performance last week, giving him a little bit extra rest and one less thing on his plate, not having to worry about, not muffing the football and ruining everything for the Philadelphia Eagles is a good thing. And we forget that it was just last year. The Eagles had basically a Pro Bowl punt returner. I mean, Britton Covey was fantastic as a punt returner last year, and I don't think DeJean's been bad, but he hasn't had that big explosive punt return, and obviously Britton Covey didn't have a lot of those throughout his career, but a lot more in 2023, and so if it adds 5% more, 1% more, 0.5% more towards the Eagles' favor, I'm all for it. I think this could be exciting on Sunday, and I would be one who would vote for Covey to be the primary punt returner over DeJean if, we got our wish.
I'm right there with you. Yes. Anything, as you say, I mean, the mistakes have to be minimized. And not that he's made mistakes, but just, more focus, more ability to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to focus completely on the defensive side of the ball. I can get a little bit of a reprieve from special teams, regardless if he is out there. And again, I think that, both of us will be like, yeah, we're fine. But, just having one thing on his plate, focus on that, the opportunities that you have in front of you. Limiting Jaden Daniels. I know that everybody wants to go over the moon about him, and he's really good. Like that, not take anything away from it. He has been really good, and he is really good. Vic Fangio does not give praise out there just to say something. So for him to say, it's almost like he got asked, is he the best rookie quarterback that you've ever seen? And it's like he wanted to say no because he's been around for forever, right? But he goes, yeah. Probably so. Because it's like what he's doing does not really make sense. It doesn't happen very often, especially the level of what he's had 0 sacks in the postseason, I believe. Like not turned the football over, been unstoppable. You blitz him like crazy, and he's not been sacked. He's not thrown interceptions. He's not getting turnovers. It's just the dude picks up first downs, and as bad as the Commanders' defense, sure they've gotten some takeaways, but as bad overall as that defense has been. Jaden Daniels is the reason that these guys are, coming to Philly on Sunday. So he's a handful, but the Eagles, they've been look at his turnovers that he's had against them. A lot of people don't want to give that to the credit, but Fangio's got a way to scheme up things, and I feel like there's some confidence going in, even as dangerous, yes, as that offense is.
Yeah, multiple turnovers in the most recent matchup that they had down there in Washington. Did throw for 5 touchdowns. You mentioned at the beginning, really the two main factors that have gotten the Washington Commanders to Philadelphia in an NFC Championship game is Jay Daniels is not turning the football over, and he's not getting sacked. And that was a big factor in the Birds' loss to the Commanders. Really, what was it, 2, 4, 6 weeks ago, whenever it was, really feels like months ago, but, a couple weeks ago, they didn't get to him. They had 1 sack of Jaden Daniels that entire game. They did throw 2 picks, or he did have 2 turnovers on offense, I should say. The problem was he threw 5 touchdowns. So we're essentially looking at 2 games against Jaden Daniels. One, he was sacked, 4 times in that Thursday night game, 5 times in the Thursday night game, multiple turnovers. Philadelphia wins that one pretty comfortably. I know it was semi-close in the fourth quarter, but they pulled away with Saquon Barkley, as they've done like 50 times this year. And then the most recent one was same amount of turnovers, less sacks, which is a big factor, and he threw 5 touchdowns. And so what it's telling me is that Jaden Daniels is going to have to be lights out on Sunday. He can have 0 turnovers and not get sacked a lot. And the big news that really entered this week, I was surprised very few people talked about it in the national media, was the loss of the starting right guard of the Washington Commanders, Sam Cosmi. He is one of their better offensive linemen. He's played every single offensive snap the past 2 years, and losing him means you get a backup guard against Jalen Carter, either one-on-one or I guess double teaming him every single snap of that game. And if you have any sort of scenario where you can get in Jaden Daniels' head and get him off timing and, not let him run around a little bit, make him make some early mistakes, and Jalen Carter plays a big factor in that, could be another game where Philadelphia runs away with it, because we're all talking about Jaden Daniels, Josh, but this is the 30th ranked run defense in the National Football League, and Frankie Louvu's been good this year. The Commanders' defense has not, and so obviously, there has to be a lot of respect given to the Washington Commanders. They're a very good football team. They deserve to be here. They could easily beat Philadelphia on Sunday, but I think the fact that they lost one of their best offensive linemen and Jalen Carter had that good of a game last week, I'd be pretty concerned if I was a Washington Commander fan on that basis alone.
Yeah, it's funny because, we've both mentioned this, but the comment of, like, I feel like I'm seeing more of, man, the Eagles need to be, careful. They need to be kind of almost scared or cautious of the Commanders. Like, how are the Eagles going to stop the Commanders?
Yeah.
But yes, there's some bias here, but I feel like the more legitimate concern or question is, how are the Commanders going to stop the Eagles? It's totally warranted, totally valid comments, and like, as you say, Jayden Daniels, he's been really good. The Commanders do have the potential there, but from what we've seen of the Eagles offense and the Commanders defense, they have not been able to stop, especially on the ground. I mean, you're not going to win any games you turn the football over 5 times. Well, most of the time. There's been a couple, but you're not really going to, especially in the playoffs. You don't turn the ball over 5 times and win the game. But Detroit was still there with 5 turnovers and an opportunity in the fourth quarter because their rushing attack, which Jahmyr Gibbs was, picking up 15 yards basically every carry.
Big time.
It was like, okay, well, what's going to stop them? It's going to be a turnover because the Commanders aren't going to, limit to a punt or anything like that. It's just wild because, over the course of this entire playoffs, the Commanders, as you said, no turnovers. They have 6 takeaways, same as Philly, by the way, 6 takeaways, 0 turnovers. But the Commanders have only punted football 1 time in 19 drives. So
it's pretty crazy.
You either get turnovers or you've seen, and there's, I think, a reason for that if the Commanders not punting the football. Dan Quinn, Cliff Kingsbury, all of them, you can tell that they're playing with house money, and they're saying, you know what? We got 4 downs to get a first down. Like, they've started both games against the Bucs and against the Lions. They've started both games getting a turnover on downs, but just saying, we're going to go for it. Nah, we don't need to kick a field goal. We're not kicking field goals. We're not punting the football. So if there's any in doubt, you got Jayden Daniels. They're one of the best teams in the league at going for it on 4th down and converting. So, same thing for Vic Fangio, Zach Bond. You and I saw it when we were at the Eagles game at the Link against the Commanders the first time. But if there's any question at all, they're going to be like, yep, we're going for it on 4th down. So be ready for that as a defense, because just because you get it to, hey, 4th and 2, 4th and 3, unless it's like 30-yard line of the Commanders, if we're talking midfield or closer, they're probably saying, screw it, we're going for it. Because you know what? There's nothing to lose at that point.
I do wonder, we talk about playing with nothing to lose. That was very clearly, you're right, the mentality going against the Lions, because nobody, were they 11-point favorites? Nobody in the entire world, including myself. I literally said there was no way on the Wednesday live show before last weekend that the Commanders would win that football game, because there really wasn't a way unless they played nearly perfect. And asking a rookie quarterback in the postseason on the road against a 1 seed to play perfect is normally too tall of a task. I do wonder if the moment becomes a little bit big for both Daniels and Dan Quinn because of where they're at now, right? Because when you're playing Tampa, they went for it a bunch. There's really nothing to lose playing against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, right? Because 1, many people had you as a favorite. 2, no matter what happened in this year's playoffs, the Commanders were to lose 1st round, 2nd round, 3rd round, it was still going to be a massive success because it's an unsuccessful historical franchise getting to the postseason. Then after beating Tampa, they rolled into the Lions game, and I think the entire week they literally said, guys, zero regrets. Nothing to lose. Let's just go for it. And it worked every single time. What happens, Josh? You mentioned going for it every single time. It's 4th and 3. If they're up 2 or Philadelphia's up 2 and we're, halfway through the 3rd quarter and it starts to get down to the nitty gritty of we are minutes away from deciding who goes to a Super Bowl, if Dan Quinn tries to take his foot off the gas a little bit and play a little more conservative, that's what I'm fascinated by, because everybody can be very, very gung-ho, go for it, no regrets sort of coaching style when you are playing against the Lions in the divisional round on the road. But when you're a game away from the Super Bowl, if it's close, I'll be very curious to see what they do. And really, it takes one of those plays, them going for it, Philadelphia stopping them, it's all over, and then Saquon runs for 60, and the Eagles win by 10 points in the 4th quarter.
Yeah. It becomes there's an opportunity, as long as you take care of business, but there's an opportunity where this thing becomes kind of a landslide or a snowball effect. So hopefully we see that. Shout out to a couple people as well and get to the super chats. Anthony, appreciate the 5, said, I hope multiple O-linemen make Frankie Dudu feel it. So
okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
We get Frankie Louvu, the man himself, has been, whether you believe if there's some dirty shots, dirty hits or not, it's
he sure does like going after quarterbacks' heads. He sure
Yep.
does. I covered it on my show. What was it, Tuesday? The Hurts one, obviously, going after Jared Goff, and then he has a play. I think it was on one of the Cowboy players, maybe a Cowboy tight end, where it's like spearing right at the head.
Yeah.
So
I think Jake Ferguson.
I don't know if he's trying to injure people. I think we don't realize what it's like being a gladiator in the ring, and you get all fired up and stuff, and it's just kind of spur of the moment sort of situations. But he, there are some cheapish plays going around the National Football League, and he's been a part of a couple of them the past couple of weeks.
Let's just say he's not trying. There's no cautiousness in that game. Whether
Right,
it's cheap
there you
shot or
go.
not, there's no
There you go.
caution. There's no like,
Fair.
maybe this is a cheap shot. Maybe this
Fair.
is an injury waiting to happen. It's like, no, just go ahead and deliver a blow. Anthony Perry with a 2. Appreciate that. Says interesting. The media not even mentioning Cosmi. Yes, that was a second ago. But
Yeah, I haven't seen
Tom was
anybody.
saying-
Like, I don't watch a lot of ESPN Get Up. I watch very little of all the talk shows. I do like to turn on ESPN on Monday mornings after a big Eagles win just to see people's thoughts. And I had a tweet that kind of blew up, kind of geared towards Dan Orlovsky, because this past Monday, after the divisional round, Get Up opened up with a whole long thing on Lamar and the Bills and stuff, and then they went to commercial break. Like 30 minutes later, they talked about Philadelphia, and the entire 4-minute segment, they barely touched on it, was Saquon's pretty good, but this offense is pretty bad. I don't know how they're going to win with Jalen Hurts, and that was it. And you're like, okay, that's ridiculous that's what we're going to go ahead and talk about. But this whole week, because I've just been curious, zero mention. Like, I would have no clue if I was a casual Eagle fan who got my news maybe from the local newspaper, or maybe from, ESPN, that the Commanders lost maybe their best offensive lineman, the guy who has to play Jalen Carter one-on-one at every single snap. And, here we are.
Yeah, because it doesn't really fit the narrative. And funnily enough,
That is true.
I don't.
That is true.
I mean, it makes sense, but like I also did the Chris Sims comment or section that he had on Kay Adams, which I'm not ever
I saw that.
listening, but it was too good of an opportunity to just not blast it out there, because it was almost verbatim from what Micah Parsons said a couple months ago. It's like, oh, well, you take away the 5 or 6 plays, we basically had them, right? Like, we're basically there. And you're like, well, hang on, bro. That's what football is, like, especially in the playoffs. How many times do you look at a game and say, the game was decided because of like 5 plays? Yes, there's the culmination of all the plays there, but the game is always decided, most of the time, decided by 5 or 6 plays. So to be like, yeah, but take away those 5 or 6 plays, and Philly probably would have lost. Philly would have probably been beaten there. It's like, okay. Do it for every other team. Do it for every other team this past divisional round, and it works the exact same way.
Or how about the 4 dropped interceptions, 3 of which were in the first?
Yes.
4? I mean, if Darius Slay catches a football that goes right in his hands on the very first throw by Matthew Stafford, it's either a pick 6 or Philly has the ball back inside the 10. And at that point, it's 6-0.
Yeah.
And so you're telling me 14-0, 13-0, whatever you want to call it. Isaiah Rodgers had 2 that he could have picked off. And then in the final drive, we're not even sweating that final drive. If a ball that goes directly in Cooper DeJean's hands is caught, that game is over before that drive even gets going. No deep ball to Puka Nacua, no 4th and 11, and we're sitting here way more comfortable. So, it's just, whenever people are saying, oh, the weather is the reason. No, the reason Philadelphia won is because Philadelphia is a great football team. And Philadelphia's been a great football team all year long. And if you want to wait to buy the Eagles stock until 11 p.m. on Super Bowl Sunday evening after they've won, then go for it. But most of us Eagle fans know who the guys are that like Philadelphia and know the guys that aren't. And the list that isn't or that don't like Philadelphia is a lot longer than the guys that do.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. It's just funny because there's the constant hate, and you're going to get the criticism nonstop. There's a little bit of the double standard, too, because you see Jalen Hurts, and he's got 1 more passing yards than Josh Allen. But Josh Allen is an MVP.
Never heard of it. Never heard of it.
The touchdowns were just 1 off, and you have 1 yard difference. Josh Allen, worst quarterback rating. But we don't actually hear Josh Allen. Can the Bills win this way? No, it's just Philly. That's the only one. So, Allen with a 2. Appreciate that though. Says Kansas City and Philly both win. But then predicting, I guess, Mahomes being injured, so we get a Wentz versus Hurts Super Bowl.
That would be my nightmare. That would be my hell. My goodness gracious. I do think, just quickly, I know
injuries on anybody, but that would be
that's true.
A pretty wild scene. Let's just say that.
I would hate that.
If it's
I also
Wentz and
would
Hurts.
love for the 2 Eagles Super Bowls during my lifetime to be wins over Brady and Mahomes, the 2 best quarterbacks of my lifetime. That'd be kind of fun too. I do think very quickly it will be the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs, I can't stand them, and the more I watch Patrick Mahomes and all of his fake sliding and baiting people into getting hits just drives me nuts. I want the Bills to win that game to put the Chiefs out of their misery on the road. I'm all for it. I just don't know if they can. I really don't. If I had to bet money right now, I would say it's gonna be Chiefs Eagles.
Yeah, I
hope it's Bills.
I do too. I'm gonna stick with it because this was more closer to like the middle of the season, or it was like maybe right before Thanksgiving, and people were asking like, oh, hey, who do you want on one of the live streams, or who do you think it'll be? And I said Eagles Bills at that time. the Chiefs have gotten a little bit healthier. They've gotten a little bit more of their, mojo back, whatever you call it. They still have just, you call it luck or whatever, to be consistent, they find ways to win. Some of them are just like, you've got to be like, how is that possible? But they find ways to win. So you know what? Give them credit because we're going to stick to being consistent on that take. But I'm going to stick with Buffalo. Because I said it earlier on,
I hope so.
I think it's going to be a close game regardless because Kansas City has not really shown that they can just run away with anything. The Texans did some things in that game. I know sometimes it's like, you're coming off of extra rest where maybe it has a slower start, but Andy Reid's phenomenal.
Yeah.
You give him 2 weeks, we know that, but you give 2 weeks to get a game plan, unbelievable. You got 1 week. I think Buffalo's hungry for this. They just got tested against Baltimore. I know they didn't play as well based on like total yardage, but they still beat a Baltimore team that's really good. So I'll just keep it. We'll say Eagles, Bills, Super Bowl. That's what we're going.
I'm fine with that. Hopefully we're just, relaxing somewhere in Philadelphia on Sunday night as I get ready to board a 10 o'clock flight, most likely. We'll detail that after the show today, what time we're going to be getting in and out of there. But just enjoying watching the Bills and the Chiefs and seeing who won. That's what it was like last time we were in Philadelphia for the NFC title game. And we're at some bar somewhere by our hotel room and just was watching the game, trying to just pinch ourselves that Philadelphia was in the championship. So it can be pretty fun there overall. Very fun.
I thought Joe Burrow and the Bengals would have had it, but they did not.
Yeah, well, they did not.
Anthony's here with a 2. Anthony Perry says, Mott, your wife was all of us. Go Barkley. That clip was hilarious if people have not seen that one. But I love that you have a camera in your living room, too. Like, that makes it even better because you could see that.
Some people were like, it's pretty creepy you set up a camera. It's not supposed to be there. It's supposed to be on our little shelf. Like we had this shelf, or I guess it's a fireplace, TV mounted above it. It was going to be on a shelf, and it was looking more outside our front window, so to kind of get the whole front yard. It's not meant to stalk someone watching TV like it looks like in that video. But I got a new sound bar. I only have 2 power cables there, and so as the sound bar and the TV are in there now, and so I moved the camera over to the plant just because we had it sitting around. So it's sitting there right now, hence the kind of weird angle. But I very funny. I heard her screaming. She's obviously a big Eagles fan, and she's a big football fan, which I don't think people fully understand, and that video shows it. She's by herself watching the game, right? I'm in here streaming. She's in there watching the game, and she's going nuts. It went pretty crazy on Instagram. It's got like 500,000 or 250,000 views. I was kind of hoping the Eagles social media would retweet it or show a little bit of love on that one, but no joy. But I think a lot of people had fun watching it. I thought so. I thought that they'd just be like, all of us on Sunday or something like that. So
sure.
Because I thought it was hilarious, but whatever. What are you going to do?
I mean, they've surely seen it. We've seen the other moments and instances, but I don't know. Unfortunately, they don't retweet some of those for whatever reason. Anthony Perry with a 2 says, how is Daniels in cold weather? It's a good question. How's Jaden Daniels in cold weather?
I think that they practiced in the dome, in the little practice bubble in Washington today. I'm pretty sure I saw that they were practicing because they were blaring the Eagles fight song, was one of the rotational songs, according to one of the beat writers in Washington. They were indoors, which I thought was interesting. You'd figure you want to practice outdoors. I did see people say that, the Commanders are not, ready for the cold because this postseason they played in Tampa, which I think was 60-something, and then obviously in the dome in Detroit, and then now coming to Philadelphia. I saw a fascinating clip of Kurt Warner on some podcasts. There's a billion of them nowadays, and he was explaining how he hates the fact that there are domes and then there are, not domes in the postseason because he played in Arizona, he played in St. Louis. Those are dome places. You don't really have an ability to prepare for an outdoor game because if you're in Arizona and it's December, it's way warmer in Arizona normally than it is in Philadelphia. And the same can be made in terms of the Commanders have been playing their games in the dome. But if they've been practicing outside in Washington all week long, then it shouldn't make a big difference. So I don't think the weather's going to play that big of a deal. Jaden Daniels, obviously a Louisiana guy in terms of LSU, Arizona State in terms of his college football days. Maybe the cold gets to him. I wouldn't talk or think too much about it, especially if there's no weather, like precipitation is the word I'm trying to say. So I don't think it's a big deal, but I'm pretty sure they practiced inside today, which I thought was very weird.
Yes, yep, you're right. I was trying to find that clip, but there's Jaden Daniels and the other Commanders in the dome, so the indoors.
Isn't that strange?
Enjoying it. It is.
Isn't that strange?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I don't know. I guess you feel like you get a little bit more reps not dealing with the wind, or I don't know. It is a little bit odd because you know what you're walking into. You know what the weather forecast is from Philly. It's bitterly cold, sure. You had the inauguration that was moved indoors. That doesn't happen most of the time. So, similar in D.C. there, or close. You got an opportunity.
22 degrees in Washington, D.C. with 2 mile per hour winds. So pretty similar to what
go out
game
there.
temperatures are going to be.
Only about 10 degrees, but
Do what you got to do.
I'm all for the, hey, you know what?
Do
Get
what you
ready
gotta do.
for it. I know it's miserable, but whatever you
Yeah.
can do, it's sometimes, mental more than anything. So, but if they want to go indoors, that's all right. Ultimately, I'm with you though. I don't think it's going to drastically affect it.
Right.
If we did get some rain or snow, then sure, that would be more of a big impact, I suppose.
Sure.
But they all got to play in the cold. You're used to it by this point, whether you're playing, practicing, living in it. I think that it'll be not a huge deal. Squanto with a 2 says this is better than WIP. Okay, well, we appreciate that. Said Birds 31-17. That's the prediction for Squanto.
I think a lot of Eagle fans are going to be a little afraid to do that, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's the score. That kind of feels like where it'd be kind of a close game, and then the fourth quarter, Saquon hits a big one, and it's over, So,
yeah,
maybe.
I feel more confident. I will say this. I do feel more confident in this one than I did the Rams game. The Rams was like, you could make the same case of, yes, you're going up against a team that's hot and has some momentum and all this other stuff. But the Rams one was like, they're playing with house money. You got Matthew Stafford in the playoffs, who is not afraid to sling it. And that can be, as we saw, but that can be a little bit of a dangerous situation there. Yeah. Are they able to keep it up? That was the question, all of the weather factors and everything else there. But as you started to see, I was just like, if the Eagles don't capitalize on opportunities, then all of a sudden it'd be close. And that's what we saw. Dropped interception. You're trying to get stops here. They go down. You have some penalties, things like that. So for this one here, you could make all those same cases, but to me, it's like there's a familiarity when you play a team in your own division that you know things. You're not as surprised. There may be a couple, but you're not really as surprised against them. You know what you're going to get. And let's be honest here. The Commanders can say all they want of like, oh, we beat you guys. It's 1-1. Technically, that's right. But you only beat the Eagles one time with Jalen Hurts. So it is a banged-up Jalen Hurts, but it's still Jalen Hurts in this offense that looked like they were going to run away with it in Washington. So I like the fact that the Eagles are coming off of it going, you know what? We got unfinished business because the Commanders think that they got one from us and they just beat us up, but we're going to go improve it, and you got to come into our house to do that. So opportunity, go to the Super Bowl. I'm super hyped about it, but I think that we are going to be good to go.
There you go. Let's. I want to talk about Jalen Hurts because obviously they're practicing. Yes. They should be wrapping up practice here in a second. I had someone just ask. Actually, here, you still have super chats to read?
Yeah. I got
get through those, and then I want to read
a couple of them.
This other comment.
Mike Sadler here. Appreciate that, Mike, with a 5. Said, what's going on, fellas? Congrats on the 100K. Thank you for that. Appreciate it.
That's right. Massive.
Says, have you heard any updates on Quinyon specifically? We need him. Go Birds. Yes, we will talk about Jalen and Quinyon in 1 second. There's a couple more as well, though. Anthony with a 2 says, Bill Parcells' philosophy is a game is 5 plays. There you go. Philosophy is a game is 5 plays. So
that's right.
Don't take away 5 or 6 plays because that's what it comes down to.
Pretty dumb.
Anthony with another Anthony Anon, I believe, with a 5 says Jaden Daniels, Jack Daniels, Daniel Day-Lewis don't matter. Birds by 14. Go Birds.
I love it.
Oh, love it. Yeah, go through all the Daniels there. That's great. Tyler with a 5. I talked way too much on Instagram for us to lose or keep this game close. I truly think this game could be 28-7 at halftime. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Anthony coming back with 2 more, though, saying Dotson has a career game. Go Birds. So not only would he win, but Jahan Dotson getting a big-time win. Then Jason with a 5. Great job, both of you. I watched NFC Championship versus the Niners. Hurts ball out on time using the whole field. Was all Shane. Kellen and Nick must step it up.
I agree on that. 100%.
Got to have a little bit more game plan, efficiency, some rhythm. They did it very early on, and then all of a sudden they kind of went away from it. I don't exactly know the reasoning for that one, but there's moments. We continue to see moments where it's like, hey, that looks pretty good. Like, let's keep doing that. And then all of a sudden you're like, what is this? We're running like 12 yard stops. Like it's an easy plan for the defense to be able to stop, and there's also allowing their pass rush to get home. But I don't know. Mike in with a 5. Every clip I've seen of Hurts post-game, with the exception of the tunnel, he's been walking and standing with no issue, hoping he's at least 80% Sunday. And then last one before we do get into the Jalen Hurts and Q. Blue Motivation with a 5. Thank you for that. Says, we are the only team that forced Jaden Daniels to throw picks. So Eagles by 14.
There you go. I love it. A lot of confidence here in the chat. A lot of confidence here in the chat. I was going to say, I have people wondering when I'm giving away the Saquon Barkley jersey from yesterday's show. I was going to announce it on, I was going to randomly pick the winner when I worked on the show yesterday and announce on the show tomorrow, but let's just draw it today. If you can pull up any comment from my most, I think it was the most recent show, is the Monday show, right? Yeah, it was the Monday show. Just pull it up and have it ready. We'll do it later. So we'll pick the person live today, obviously from the recap show, and then I'll, if they're not here, then I'll fully announce it as I was going to do it on my show tomorrow. So
sweet.
There
and
you
I'll
go.
do the tickets are the same, so it works perfectly. We'll do the
Perfect. Okay, so
the
we will do that
comments pulled up.
in a little bit. Here's the latest on Jalen Hurts. First off, the Birds are still practicing, right? So we tried to time this where actually no, that they have just finished because they are finally at the podium here, and AJ Brown is speaking. So we are moments away from getting Jalen Hurts at the podium, which obviously we'll have on our shows tomorrow. But we have not gotten the official injury report, but we do have confirmation as of, 1:30 this afternoon that Hurts and Quinyon Mitchell are both going to be at practice today. Now, being at practice is good because if you're not a participant, a lot of times you aren't even at practice. You're kind of standing around. You could be getting extra treatment. Not a guarantee you're going to be at practice. Limited means you are probably, or if they were there, they're probably limited. So that's my guess. I think we'll see that in the next 10 or 15 minutes, maybe while we're on this show. Obviously, subscribe for tomorrow's shows with full updates and all the different press conference and stuff like that. But they're both going to be limited. Here's my take on Jalen Hurts. Obviously, the knee's a factor. Obviously, post-game, he felt a lot better and seemed a lot better than he did in that fourth quarter, mainly because the painkillers were probably starting to kick in. And I know that they can get those things pretty quickly, whether he did get an injection or just took, popped a couple perks, as people were saying on Twitter. Who knows? But I think that post-game he was feeling a lot better.
Post-game.
He was pretty jovial, right? Here's the biggest difference between what his mobility was in the fourth quarter and where it's going to be this coming week. One, he gets a week of full-on 100% treatment. They're going to do everything they can to get him ready. That's a big plus versus injuring it in the third quarter, having to play in the fourth quarter with virtually no treatment. The other big factor here, Josh, is they can preemptively prepare not only the brace, the wrapping, but also the painkillers to try to maximize the time that it lasts going into this football game versus he has the injury mid-game. They try to get it into him really quickly. It takes a second to get into his system, and I'm not a doctor, but it's not instant pain killing most of the time, especially if he's doing pills versus a shot. They can now time this to where he can be hopefully as pain-free as humanly possible going into the game. That would provide more mobility. My big fear, Josh, one hit away. Right? If he's going to be mobile and you figure he has to be for Philadelphia to win this football game and he's running out of bounds and someone dives at his knee and hits it, that's going to be the big question mark for Philadelphia and why I hope they can get off to a quick start because the worst case scenario would be they're down, it's 14 points, it's 10 points, then the knee gets hurt, and then you basically have an immobile Jalen Hurts trying to stand in a pocket like a statue and throw the football to a victory. So we're not going to know. They're not going to tell us. He's going to be limited most of the week, maybe a full participant on Friday. Yeah. Clearly, he is not 100%. There's 100% a sprain or something going on with that knee. And the question is going to be, how much can they do this week to get him better? Can he protect it? And will the painkillers have more of an effect due to the fact that he doesn't have to happen, mid-game in order to go ahead and get healthy?
Yeah, I agree. It is one of those things. No one's... And I think we all understand this. No one's 100% at this time of year. But yeah, it's one of those significant injuries that you saw played a factor as the game went on. And as you mentioned, maybe it took a little bit longer for some painkillers. But eventually, even later into the game, they were running some read option plays where if you go back and watch the film, I mean, Saquon did great. Yes, there's the breakaway touchdown, all that. But there's a couple opportunities that Jalen healthy, for one, he should have kept the ball. But there's also a couple opportunities where if he was healthy, you imagine he does take that football and just try to run it. But again, if you got an injury to the knee, how much does that play a factor? I'm going to be curious of if we see Jalen running early, because I would almost imagine or anticipate that Washington says, you know what, Jalen, we're going to test that knee. You prove it to us that you can run. So early on, you might get Washington going out there and saying, we're going to, and again, it's easier said than done, so they may not be able to do this, but try to sell out to stop Saquon to say, no, make Jalen keep the football every single run. If he's able to, and if he's able to show us that he can run the football, then fine. Maybe we adjust something. But otherwise, if you're Washington and you saw that injury, you got to be thinking to yourself, I don't know. I don't know if he can actually keep it. I don't know if he can keep it and try to beat someone around the edge or if he's willing to take some hits to try to pick up first downs. So it will be something to watch. I mean, ultimately, good news is that he will play, but I think it's going to come down to a lot of how much is he effective? What percentage? I forgot the super chat we saw a second ago. What was that? That was
80%. I think he said 80%.
Yeah. So, is it at that number? And then on the flip side, too, we talk about the defense, but it's a very significant factor, is where is Quinyon Mitchell at, right? Because he can also similarly manage the symptoms painkiller-wise, AC joint sprain. I think that multiple doctors on Twitter were kind of commenting on it, showing the video, Dr. Jesse Morse and others, of like, it's probably, or the fear at first was, man, is it a fracture? Is it a serious grade of a sprain, because the Eagles kept him out? But the fact that Q said he's good to go, Olivia Reiner of the Philly Inquirer had mentioned that first, and then others had kind of confirmed with multiple reports. That's good news. But, how much does that impact him? Do the Commanders throw some screens early on to test it and say, all right, Q, you got to come up there and make a hit. You got to make a stop and play physical. I think if you can monitor that with the painkillers similarly, he should be okay. And, ultimately he's good to going out there. But at least another thing to monitor as the week goes on.
And I think that in the end, it's the NFC Championship game. And you can go back to the Super Bowl run. Jalen Hurts wasn't 100%, and yet he still played very, very well. Philadelphia's defense was a key factor in that win in the NFC title game 2 years ago. And I'm just hoping it's not a factor, right? That's my big hope, is that it's not a factor. The Birds are going to be just fine, and that we get the best version of Jalen Hurts and the rest of the team going into this game. And it'd be nice just for Jalen Hurts to kind of quiet the critics, which, by the way, Hurts in his 7 career playoff games is 0-3 when he throws for 250 yards or more, and he's 4-0 when he's like 170 and less. And so the narrative that he's got to be able to throw to victory is pretty ridiculous, as it normally is. But I just would love to see him ball out and really silence some haters. And even if he threw for 300 yards and the Birds won, there would still be people that'd be like, well, I'm going to pick the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. It'd just be fun to do it at home in front of the home crowd, and obviously against a divisional rival in the Washington Commanders. Gosh,
yeah. I mean, can you imagine? Yeah, shut up the doubters and do that. I'm going to get to some of these super chats before I get to this one. I will say,
sure,
if you believe in this sort of thing, maybe this is putting it out there, but the positivity could possibly be that Kellen Moore does not have any interviews this week.
I was about to say something about that, yes.
I mean, we just talk about, like, some people make the argument or the case of going, well, it's just Kellen Moore. He knows the Cowboys. He knows these other teams kind of see his body of work. I am of the mindset, I still believe that it can be a grueling interview process, an emotional draining process. And Kellen says, no, all I missed was a 4th grade basketball game, which was, with his kids and family. But if that's the only thing that he says technically schedule-wise. But everyone always said, like, hey, you need to take some time. You got to step away from something to be clear-headed. If you're too ingrained in, like, one thing to the next thing to the next thing, this is for all stages of life, everything you're doing. I think all of us can relate. You need a little bit of a breather. And so the fact that he had to do a 2-hour interview with the Cowboys, a 2-hour interview with the Saints, a 2-hour interview with the Jags, that gets exhausting. So, your positivity out there is at least we haven't heard and seen he's interviewing with anyone else at the moment.
Well, and let's just be real. Dallas is really keying in on the Schottenheimer guy, which is a hilarious hiring and a classic Dallas move, because Jerry's too cheap to pay Deion Sanders and too power hungry to give any sort of power to a guy like Deion Sanders. And so they'll take another Jason Garrett-esque head coach, which is fantastic. But the Jaguars have already taken the Bucs offensive coordinator. The Saints lose out on Aaron Glenn. The report was they really liked Aaron Glenn. I don't think he would take the Saints job. I don't know if the Saints job with their cap problems is really that intriguing of a position. And so you could have a scenario where Jalen Hurts finally, for the second time in his entire career, gets back-to-back offensive coordinators that are the same offensive coordinator back-to-back years, which would be really big and something that I don't think people fully understand, because the 1 year Jalen Hurts looked like an MVP was year 2 with Shane Steichen.
Yeah, that would be unbelievable for him to get it. I thought, didn't the OC for the Bucs decline it because of the?
Did he?
I think he did, right? Liam Cohen.
I thought double check. I thought that he took the job.
I thought he got offered, but he said,
"Oh, yeah, he did. Oh, wow, that was recent." And then the Jags just fired their GM that no one wanted. So now maybe they can.
All right, there you go. Okay, I was gonna say I thought that they said this because
Kellen Moore can.
So Liam Cohen, highest paid coordinators in the NFL. The reason I was thinking I saw that was because then somebody brought up Vic Fangio, and so Fangio's paid $4.5 million.
$4.5 million. One of the
how about that? One of the highest. But hey, let's just say this too. Kudos to Jeffrey Lurie and the willingness to pay because this does not impact the salary cap. This is just like, hey, what are we going to pay for our coordinators here? And he's willing to. Obviously, Vic Fangio really not huge, motivation, I guess, to get back into the head coaching game. But still, you want the best, you pay the best, and he's not afraid to do that. Multiple times you see it. So kudos to Vic Fangio. He absolutely deserves that with this defense, everything else.
4.3, huh? He needs a little bonus, I think. He's basically the number one
Oh.
defense, and he might have Defensive Player of the Year, which, now that we have
yeah.
Saquon officially in the running now, according to the
Should
AP.
be.
So he's a finalist. So, we will definitely see.
Yes. Squanto with a couple of super chats here that I'll run through. Said revenge tour for the Commanders is greater than, then I guess, then on to the Chiefs. I think these are arrows. I was saying greater than less. I think they're arrows. Revenge tour to the Commanders, then the Chiefs, then the parade.
Okay.
I appreciate that. Absolutely.
Fine by me.
Let's do one
Fine by
after
me.
the other. Just check them off. Keep going. George with a 10 said thoughts on the recent trend of this team scoring early on scripted drives, but then really struggling to put up more points the rest of the game when it feels like all year was the opposite.
I've tried, and I really went back, and I always say, I'm not a film guy, but when you watch the difference between an Eagles 5-play drive where they punt or an Eagles 3-play drive where they punt versus the Eagles 13-play drive, which they had in this football game, it just seems like the route trees are way more dynamic on those longer drives. And that opening drive that Philadelphia had, I thought was a great example. Moving the pocket with Jalen Hurts, play action passes, finding Goddard in the flats, looking across the middle for A.J. Brown. And it was one of the big drops that he had early in that game. And then you watch some of these pass plays where everybody kind of runs a clear out. A.J. runs a slant or A.J. runs a stop, and that's basically it. And if teams are doubling A.J., then there's nowhere to go with the football. So I've always found that so fascinating all year long when it comes to these route trees, because everybody who sees that will sometimes say, well, that's because Jalen Hurts stinks as a quarterback, and you got to give him a vanilla type route tree because he can't read a defense. But why would you give him only one bad option if you thought he was bad at playing quarterback? Wouldn't you want to scheme up easier throws for Jalen Hurts instead of just a 5-yard out or a 3-yard slant into double coverage with no other outlet? It's just very strange. And again, I always say that Josh and I are not the people to comment on all 22 film because we're not all 22 film people. And so we could be missing something that, a basic knowledge of the NFL offense. I guess we have more than that, but, a basic coaching level knowledge would go, Thomas, we're doing it because of this. But it does surprise me how hot and cold the Eagle offense can really be at times. And there were times in the Rams game, Josh, where they flipped the switch and it was lights out in terms of being bad. I mean, ice cold. They couldn't move the football at all. And you're going, but I just saw them move the football well. Now, that is true that most NFL games have up and downs, and we talked about all the missed opportunities by the Eagle defense. And, I mean, Jalen Hurts had a deep shot to Devontae Smith that without a helmet-to-helmet, he catches, and that's a big first down for a lot of yards. The A.J. drop in the end zone could have been a massive touchdown. They did move the football well, and they missed some opportunities.
The Goddard screen pass.
The Goddard screen pass was another big one. That's at least 3. But I do wonder why sometimes you watch the route trees and it's like 3 guys are basically not running a route or they're not a part of the play. And then it's A.J. double covered and Hurts has to tuck it and run or tuck it and take a sack.
Yeah, we won't get a 100% answer ever, obviously.
Nope, we never will.
I just wonder sometimes, and it's not the worst thing, like they're winning. This is the one thing to me that I do laugh at. I think both of us do as well. It's like all of the concern, well, I shouldn't say all of the criticism, all the hate, all the doubt, some from Eagles fans or just understandable, like, yeah, you're frustrated, you want to see a little bit more, but of what this team has done, especially in the offensive side of the football, but yet they're in the NFC Championship game. Like, they're winning games. Do you want to see it as a little bit more, take care of business, a little more confident? Sure, who doesn't? We don't want to live through or sweat it out like that every single week. And it hasn't been every week, but we've had these ebbs and flows. Jalen coming off a concussion, a little bit of rust, and then you try to get acclimated. You go into something else. You say, hey, the Rams with their pass rush, did you anticipate having some more time? I think that a lot of times we look at these routes and you're like, man, there's 3 or 4 deep shots. And as you say, there's basically only one option. So if they take away the short option, Jalen needs 3 seconds or more to be able to see if those routes are going to work. And it's like time and time again, especially against the Rams, because their pass rush was good. Like, kudos to them. They won a lot of the matchups, and especially the interior of the defensive line, whether it be Cam Jurgens, Landon Dickerson, Mekhi Becton. As great as they've been run blocking, there are, a couple moments for sure. You go back and watch that Rams game, it's like, man, they got beat. Like, they got beat bad. And so it's not all on Jalen. It's not all on Kellen Moore. It's not all on the line. It's a combination of those things. And I think that also with every once in a while, it feels like this offense just goes, you know what? Let's play it real safe because we got the number 1 defense in the league. And you don't want to turn the football over. And
It's just fine.
so it is okay, but it's
winning
frustrating
games.
sometimes because you look back and you're like, why? Why on earth are we doing it? Like, that's an automatic punt situation. But again, you got Vic Fangio, you got the number one defense. So if you want to play field position battle and
Yeah.
live to fight another day, I think sometimes they lean into that a little bit too much. And, still, they're winning. They're at the NFC Championship game.
They're in the NFC
so-
Championship game. Exactly. And that is the one line that no one in the national media seems to add in following their criticisms of the Philadelphia Eagles. You see all of them go, this is a problem, Jalen's the problem here, I don't know if they can do this, and then they stop. When in reality, you can be critical of the Philadelphia Eagles. No team is perfect, and Philadelphia certainly isn't. And Jalen Hurts is not throwing for 400 yards a game, and so he certainly isn't. But you have to always finish your sentence with, but they're 6-point favorites in the NFC Championship game, and I have a feeling if they win that, they're going to be favorited over either the Chiefs or the Bills, whoever they play in the Super Bowl. So, little asterisks and little, extra words at the end of sentences definitely matter.
Yeah, they for sure will too. The funny thing is because they're Super Bowl favorites, like that is a guarantee. They're favorites here against the Commanders. They will be a favorite against whoever it is, whether it's the Chiefs or the Bills. And so, but no. Remember, Thomas, they cannot, according to the national media, they cannot win like that.
They stink.
So we've seen it all year long, but they cannot. Let's see. Is it CRMKY? I don't know what that's supposed to be, but CRMKY with a 2. Appreciate that. Didn't see a comment, and then follow up with 2 more. We appreciate the 2 and 2. Says we should use our fullback this week. Kari Blasingame. Haven't seen much of him, but
haven't seen much. So
you bring out.
My guess would be we don't. But maybe. I don't know.
Worst case situation, if you just absolutely had to, maybe the running game isn't going with Jalen and Saquon. But yeah, I highly doubt you do. You saw, you saw 3 times as much Ben Van Sumeren as you've seen with Kari Blasingame. And Kari Blasingame is technically a legit fullback. So
actually,
I think the writing's
so.
on the wall for that one.
Yeah. Did you get the George Bedrin 10? Did you miss that one?
Let's see. I think. Let me double check. Oh, yes. Yeah, we did. Yeah, because that was the
we did.
recent
Sorry, that was the
scrimmage
drive.
Yep.
Sorry. I want to make sure.
Got that one. Elbert with a 5 also says Super Bowl, baby. 35-21 win against the Commanders.
So.
At this point of the season, it is more about the players executing the game plan, not so much the coaching. Just my opinion. There's definitely a lot of that. Also, we should just mention this too, because people, I'm sure, watching this or even watching it back, Thomas and I will be, if we get to the Super Bowl, we'll be streaming the Super Bowl, but we will not be streaming for the NFC Championship. So if you're coming on the channel, looking for the live stream of the game, all that, this is the one game, the one playoff game that we're going to be at the link because we're undefeated when we go to NFC Championship games. So trying to do our part as much as we can. But we'll be back, hopefully, for the Super Bowl stream.
Hopefully.
Which will be, oh, man, absolutely. It's
pretty
just crazy
nuts
to say we're that close. We're just super
pretty
close
nuts.
to get it. But they got to get it. They got to get it done. Christian with a 2 says our revenge games versus the Commanders and versus the Chiefs. There's several people that have made that comment here on the stream.
People want the Chiefs.
I don't hate it.
They want the Chiefs. Yeah.
Why not? As you said, Thomas, the fact that you'd have the Patriots won, you lost the Patriots first, get the revenge, lost the Chiefs, get the revenge, wouldn't be the worst story. Although it doesn't. You don't even have to be an Eagles fan to know this. The entire world is not rooting for the Eagles. The entire world. Besides, outside of Philadelphia fans, the entire world wants it to be Jaden Daniels. Nobody is.
They do.
The number of comments, the number of people again. Bro, I don't want to see the tush push and Jaden or Jalen Hurts just handing off to Saquon Barkley 30 times in the Super Bowl. Like, no, give me Jaden Daniels, that electric offense, blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, that is exactly what everybody else wants to see for the NFC. Now, you could take your pick on who do they want, the Bills, the Chiefs, but they absolutely want Jaden Daniels to be in the Super Bowl. So, gotta love it. Gotta love the haters. Feed into the fuel there for the players. They see it. They absolutely do. Ethan, I'm going to get to your super chat here in a second. One thing on that I will say, because we both talked about Jared Verse and his comments, and it's like, oh, he's calling out Eagles fans.
Yeah.
As much as Eagles fans have the players' backs, the players have Eagles fans back. And I love the part that Jalen Carter saw it, that Lane Johnson saw it, that Saquon Barkley saw it, and then they did something about it and also retweeted or commented afterward about getting the win and kind of stepping up, because you make the statement, or we talked about it and saying, hey, that's bulletin board material for the team. And Rams fans and other just NFL fans are like, that's directed at Eagles fans. The team doesn't care about that, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no. You don't understand Philly and you don't understand the Eagles if you don't think a shot at Eagles fans is not a shot at the Eagles team. So as soon as they saw that, and Saquon, I love that he's not going to get into it because they asked him, like, hey, whenever you scored that first touchdown, you're looking back at verse. Did you say anything to him? Was that meant anything? He's like, oh, I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about there. We know. We all saw it. But that's the cool part, too, that it's like, hey, we got you. We got you. Let's see. Where's the other superstar? Oh, Ethan. Here we go. Ethan with a 10. And then we're going to get into the giveaways also here in a second. Ethan with a 10 says, Jalen can't get a break. Last year, he forces the ball and gets picked, leads the Eagles to losing and gets blamed. This year, he protects the ball more, and people say he holds them back, yet they win.
It's a great question. It's like an enigma, right? We just don't know how to answer that question. It's an ever revolving door. Now, I think that Jalen could not throw turnovers and throw a little bit more passing yards. That's fair. That's a fair criticism. No one's saying Jalen Hurts is the best quarterback in the National Football League. He's definitely top 10. But I mean, honestly, does it matter how it looks? I mean, genuinely, as a team that's been to the postseason, a lot of these teams, their fan bases that are complaining about Jalen Hurts, they don't even get to go to the postseason, let alone win multiple games in the postseason in their lifetimes. Talking about the Dallas Cowboys, but as a fan of the Philadelphia Eagles, Jalen Hurts could throw for 1 yard, and if we win a Super Bowl, that's fine. I do not care. Saquon Barkley in the Super Bowl could have 5 carries for 1 yard, and if we win, I don't care. Doesn't matter what my superstars do in the games, as long as we win. Now, you need your superstars to win those games, sure, but when it comes to they won the game, but there is no but. They won the game. That's what matters, and if it happens again this weekend where they win the game, no more buts about it. Philadelphia's in the Super Bowl as one of the final 2 teams left in the National Football League.
Yeah, and the beauty of this, too, is also, like, A.J. Brown. And, who knows to what extent knee injury, he says it's not playing a factor. You kind of wonder because of the stats and how the lack of usage, sometimes he did drop a pass that would have been better. Normally he catches that. But you're winning these games with A.J. Brown through 3 catches for 24 yards. Now, I know you have Saquon Barkley. I know you have the offensive line. You got Jalen Hurts. You got all these weapons. But, like, before the playoffs started, if we were to go through this and say, hey, A.J. Brown is going to end up having 24 yards, you would think that, I mean, that's not good for one playoff game, but to do it for 2 games, you're thinking to yourself, man, I don't know. That's a little bit shaky because I'm thinking you got to go through your superstars a little bit more. But that is also the scary part about this team. There's so many ways that they win. There's so many ways that they beat you. And yes, I totally agree with you, as everyone else does. It doesn't matter how it looks. For Eagles fans anyway, it doesn't matter how it looks, as long as you get the win. There's a ton of teams, it's like, hey, Justin Herbert throws the best football in the NFL apparently. Right? It looks beautiful.
Can't win playoff games.
Beautiful. He could throw 4 interceptions in a playoff game. Yeah, lose it. Go home. Mike M with the 2 said, I just hope we have an answer for the screens. The Commies and Brian Johnson do run the screen passes a whole lot better than Philly did last year. Talia with the 77 with the 5 says, Thomas being from Atlanta, have you been to Rocky Mountain Pizza? Crazy fun Eagles games.
I have not, because they happen. It's the place to go during Eagles games, and I stream Eagles games. That's the problem, right? Like, I would love to go. I've been invited there multiple times, but I stream the Eagles games here. I'm in my little home studio in Atlanta. So no, I've not been, but I've heard it's a great time, and I think it'd be a lot of fun, a good one. Maybe next year, during like a week 6 or week 7 game, we'll do it. But then I leave Josh hanging, so not a guarantee.
I know. Yeah, that's the difficulty. There's so many opportunities, so many moments, because it's like, oh man, you remember what it was like to watch Eagles games before doing the stream, and both are a blast, and we love hanging out. But I mean, it's one thing to be there, the watch parties and all the other stuff. I will say last week was this past Sunday. We played the clip at the Open here, but
very fun.
The mixture of emotions, the up, the down, the all over the place. I don't think it's ever been wilder during a game, whether it's a virtual stream, whether it's just watching the Eagles play. That was probably the most back and forth that I've experienced, because it was like we're going to the NFC Championship game in a matter of 2 minutes. It was like we're
losing. We're losing.
There's no way. You got to be kidding me. So, shout out to John Moe with a 5 gifted Philly special show memberships. Appreciate that. Ryan Solomon gets 1. Caleb, shout out to Void, Jules, and Cheesesteak. Congratulations to those guys. Broncos Jack with a 5 also said nobody wants the repeat Chiefs versus Eagles other than Chiefs and Eagles fans. I'm going to guess that the Broncos Jack is a Broncos fan, so I guess
that's probably a good guess.
Chiefs, no, but
I think Bills Chiefs or Bills Eagles or Bills Commanders would be like the nation pick. I think Bills Eagles would be very fun. I think 2 very fun fan bases. And again, my problem with the Commanders is their defense, right? If you're taking me, Josh Allen gets to carve up the Commander defense, it might not be a close Super Bowl. I would like to see Josh Allen versus Philadelphia's defense if I was, being a little unbiased, but we're pretty biased over
And
here,
we
so what are you gonna
we very much of a nail biter, crazy game against Buffalo in Philly last year. But it'd be nice to take on Josh Allen again. We do have that one victory over him, as Jalen Hurts does. So, Aiden with a 2, appreciate that. Says AJ Brown gets at least 100 yards next game.
I hope so. I think so. Lattimore's not the same Lattimore, right? Lattimore's still good, but he's not the same. So.
He could be carved up.
He's going to travel. He's definitely going to travel with A.J. Brown. But I think, I would like him to get 100 yards. That'd be very fun. And he said he hated the snow. So hopefully no snow on Sunday means that A.J. Brown has a better game.
Yeah, I think so. It'll for sure be, in my mind, for sure better than what he's done. That's a very low bar. But, I think there's a much greater opportunity. So, we should probably do this giveaway here. How about that?
Let's do them. We got 2.
I've got everything set up here. It looks like so.
This is from my Monday show, right?
Yes,
from my Monday
show. Jeez, there's I think there's 3,100 people that commented here. So
a lot of comments.
Good luck, everyone.
One of you is getting a Saquon Barkley jersey.
You have a fantastic opportunity.
If you're not watching right now, I'm announcing it on my show tomorrow. So you're gonna see this exact moment in time replayed on my show tomorrow. So you have time to. Email me, link down below in the description box, and prove it's you to go ahead and prove that you won. So let's go ahead. Let's just see.
Yep, here we go. Good luck. Saquon jersey. Who is it going to be? Any comment on that video out of the 3,100? It is Sean Murphy. Sean Murphy, 8684. Sean Murphy, you won. His comment there was, actually, it's a good one because it had to be any comment, but for the Saquon jersey, it says Saquon is a beast. Congratulations, Sean.
A beast. That works. Let me just hold it up there on the screen for a second. I'm going to put this in my description box. Sean Murphy. I think Sean Murphy's kind of I recognize that name. He might be a pretty normal commenter.
Yeah, I was going to say, I do recognize that name.
I recognize it. We read all of y'all's comments, just FYI. Sean Murphy, 8684. Okay, I'm putting this in my description box now, 86844, and it will be in the one tomorrow as well. So there you go. Sean, if you're watching this back, you won. You got to prove it's you. And if not, then watch tomorrow's show. And that way I can get this to you, or else we got to pick somebody else. So
let's go, Sean. Heck yeah.
Cool.
Who doesn't like that? Little Saquon jersey.
Frank says, hate not winning. Yeah, well, I know. It used to be, when we first started doing giveaways, you have like a 1 in 100 chance. And now it's grown. And, Josh has 100,000 subscribers. So it's like 3,000 comments on a video, and it's 1 in 3,000 now. But people do it. You gave away tickets to the divisional round. They went to the game. They were having a bunch of fun. So we do have the football, which is next, I think, 80,000 subs, which will happen maybe by this time next week if they win, I think. So someone's going to win that one. So stay tuned. Be sure to subscribe. Lint, hang on. Lint Liquor says, I'm calling BS on these giveaways. So she thinks that we just lie and we don't give away these things. So show me your stack of jerseys, Josh, that you have not given away to people. Do you have that off
they're
camera
just
somewhere?
laying around here somewhere.
Laying around here?
Well, obviously she's not watching. I mean, we could take us a lot of doctoring it up to make this happen, but I'm pretty sure there's people in the chat that could absolutely confirm already that are here and have gotten multiple giveaways.
Mike Halo just now. Yeah, I remember when it was 1 in a few thousand, I won that Kelly Green jersey. There you go.
And then a lot of times what I'll do too is say, hey, whenever someone gets the tickets to the game giveaways, like take a selfie. It's not required, but if you take a selfie, I'll include it in the game recap. So Dakota got one recently, Vinny got one, and I included those in the videos. So
there you go.
I mean, I
those
get
are plants. Those are plants. Yeah,
lots of plants. Lots of.
I'm exactly at 80,000 subs. I'm gonna pick a random person. I'm just gonna keep this and be like, haha, whatever. So
congratulations. And
I don't know where I put it.
It makes its way into a live stream accidentally one time, and then you're like, oh shoot.
Yeah, oops.
Didn't mean for that to happen. All right, I'm gonna get mine ready here too, because the other giveaway is the tickets to the game on Sunday, which I will announce.
Pretty big one.
The video tomorrow.
Not cheap.
Gosh, it is
Those
not.
Pockets.
It is not. It is
Those
not
pockets.
Cheap. Yeah.
100K guy can do that though. Come on, 100K subscriber.
I mean, also as I was saying, I didn't necessarily think it was going to happen. I wanted to put some good vibes out there to see, and also I turned down. You and I talked about this. I turned down NFC Championship tickets, quality tickets for like $500 a pop. Because it was Saturday night before we played the Rams, and I told you, I was like, they were in the cart to check out, but I thought to myself, I'm going to jinx it. If I buy these, they're going to lose. So I said no, and then as soon as they won, we go back on there to check, and those exact same tickets are $1,300 a pop. So they've come down a little bit, but still the prices are just outrageous. So let's see. I think I've got the comments here, so we could do this one now.
Okay.
And good luck,
It's a big
everybody.
one.
This is a big
It's
one.
a big one.
You don't have to be present to win. So again, I will mention it as Thomas did for his. I will mention it on my show tomorrow. But it'll have to be claimed pretty quick, because if not, I'm gonna have to give it to somebody else who can actually go to the game. So let's see. Got that one there. Yep, should be good to go. Good luck, everyone. 2 tickets, NFC Championship. Are you going to be there? Who's it going to be? Any comment on that video, by the way? So just curious what that one becomes. It's Daquan McDonald 7104 with a comment saying Philly needs to address those self-inflicted wounds on offense. It's almost every game, not trying to stress like that versus the Commanders when I know the Eagles, I believe it says, I think I saw that comment earlier, when I know the Eagles can play better. So
there you go.
Daquan.
A little negative, but we'll still take it, right?
Yeah, we'll take it. It's a winner. Still works. Daquan, congratulations. You got it. I'll message you on the comment section, but also if you see this beforehand, feel free to email me, thephillyspecialshow@gmail.com. I will get the info from you, absolutely verify. I told a couple people this. I got scammed out of tickets last week, but you know what? The scammer, kudos to him. I will say
they
he
returned them.
Returns
That's right.
I did not expect that to happen, but called him on it. He apologized, gave him back, and then they went to the real person that was supposed to get those. So
there you go.
There's, good in everybody, and recognize the ways, I suppose. I didn't think it was gonna happen, but Anthony with a 2, couple more super chats here as we're getting close to wrapping. Says I'm these Dallas cow turds of these giveaways, so you're just losing every time. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Maybe
sorry.
The odds are you'll win before the Cowboys do. So
that's true.
I don't know if that makes you feel better.
Better odds, probably.
That's yeah, no doubt. Albert with 2 more. Let's see. Member gift packs. Coasters.
Wait. Hang on. Did you say was Vin the winner of the tickets?
Yeah. No. Of last one, the divisional.
Oh, that was Vin last. Okay, then he's in my chat. I thought it was the winner of this tickets was in the chats. It was the guy last week. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Last week Vin got it. Yeah.
All right. Sorry, go ahead.
Albert was saying with the 2 member gift packs, coasters, keychain stickers. I guess it's a question of
picture.
Is it? It's got like question marks on it though. I'm not seeing it. Yeah, it's just a question. It's not a sticker. I may be asking if we're gonna have like member gift packs, coasters, keychain stickers for. I don't
know. I don't have any coasters, keychains, or stickers. Sadly.
We don't have
maybe
any
one day. Maybe one day.
We got T-shirts. Some memorabilia there down in the description if you want a little bit of it. But
we'll see. Fly Goes Fly said, "Do we have Super Bowl tickets, Josh? Josh, are you giving away 2 Super Bowl tickets on your channel for the approximate cost of $12,000? I think."
Yeah, as much as I would just love to do that, I didn't really envision doing the NFC Championship game. I cannot afford Super Bowl tickets. That is not going to happen. No. Would love to.
Cheapest.
Let me just put this out there. If Underdog, shout out to Underdog, use code Philly Special, get up to $1,000 in bonus cash on your picks and plays this weekend. If Underdog wants to go ahead and float some cash over there, then sure, we'll give away Super Bowl tickets. But I highly doubt that's going to happen.
Cheapest tickets on SeatGeek right now, Josh, including fees per ticket. Give me a guess here. What do you think? I got it pulled up.
I'm going to say
section 648, row 22. You are 2 rows from the very top.
Oh my gosh. You said after fees?
After fees.
Gosh, fees are so high, especially like the multiplier. 7,400.
Close, 7,164. Although use my code MOT10 with SeatGeek, and it'll get a little bit shaved off there. So, but yes, $7,100 for 1 seat to the Super Bowl. So we are probably not giving any away. So
cheap.
Yeah. It's insane. It's insane how expensive that is.
Yeah. That's a lot. The championship games are expensive, but you know what? Hey, let's just say this too. I somewhat get it. The Chiefs games for the Chiefs and Bills, all in, fees included, same quality of seats, right? Like upper deck, $340, $350.
Really?
You pay $800 to $900 at the link.
Just because the Chiefs have had 7 straight AFC title games at Arrowhead
or
something
ridiculous
like that.
You would think it increases it. Now, I will say we're biased, but you can't beat a Philly atmosphere for a game. So maybe that's like the extra heightened part. But I'm like,
I don't know. I wish they were cheaper.
Nobody likes the going to the Midwest. Maybe that's it.
No.
It's not the gravitational pull for the Chiefs.
True.
I don't know.
Probably
That's
true.
wild. You can get the same cost of because my brother sent me this. He's a Bills fan. You can get the same cost of a lower level, like 30-yard line, as you can upper deck at the Philly game.
Sick. I love hearing that. Love hearing that.
It is what it is. Let's see. I'll run through a couple more of these, and then we're going to wrap here. Dakota with a 2 says giveaways are 100. There you see Dakota won one of the ticket giveaways and had some videos and pics that I included there. Says I'll go again if they don't believe. So okay, doing your part, willing to go.
There you go.
Can appreciate that. Brandon with a 2 said, "What's your confidence level for Sunday? Scale of 1 to 10. What's the
1 to
confidence
10
level?
7.
7. Okay.
8. It's probably an 8, but I don't want to be overconfident. How about that? So I'll say 7.
Okay.
I'm confident. I think that they're going to win, obviously.
Yeah.
But
yeah. That's
you know, anything can happen. I think it's the same as it was with the Niner game. The Niners were red hot going into that NFC Championship game, right? And I think a lot of Eagle fans were quietly a little bit stressed, and then we didn't have to be stressed. So I'm hoping it's very similar.
Yeah, I agree. I'll go. I'm pretty confident. Maybe I'm too much. I don't know. I feel like I'm going to be like some nervousness and anxious and excitement, closer we get to the game. But I still feel like just looking at the squad, the way the teams match up, Eagles Super Bowl favorites.
Yeah,
I mean, I'll say 8.5, 9.
I like that.
I'm
like that.
Very confident going into it.
I hope so.
Big E with a 2 says, "Where are we meeting? Oh, where are we meeting at the game? And beers? Question mark. Where are we meeting at beers?
Well, K-Lot is is the main tailgate that we hang out at. Although by the way, I am going to figure out where the bench press is. I got to figure out what lot the bench press is. I want to throw up 135. So many times I can throw up 135. So I think I can throw up 135 like 25 times, by the way. So
okay.
I know the record is 62 or 70 something. I think it was, a lot more that I can do. But someone's got to tell me on Twitter where to go for the bench press, because I want to bench press the 135, one plate aside at the tailgate. So we will be at that at some point.
Oh, it's going to be lit. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
Yes. We'll be all over the place. Okay, I think that's it for the Super Chats. We've run through everything else. Omer with a member for 10 months. Omer here, appreciate that. Says, just curious, what are your thoughts on Tanner?
He won't play on Sunday, hopefully.
Kenny's the guy.
Hopefully he won't play.
So
yeah.
It's
they've said many times Kenny's the guy. But he is, even though he's inactive, he's the third quarterback. And the Niner rule now, we call it the Brock Purdy rule, means he can suit up and play. So he'll be suited up and if needed play. But let's just hope we don't get to 3 quarterbacks into our depth chart.
Yeah, keep it with Jalen. Jalen, even with Jalen being somewhat injured, he's still better than Kenny Pickett and better than Tanner McKee, especially when you talk about zone reads and being able to know whether he's supposed to keep it or hand it off to Saquon, and it keeps defenses honest. So you know what? If you want to negate it or say, oh yeah, but Tanner pushes the ball down the field in passing game, sure, you see that in moments against the Cowboys, but you also see that there's a difference maker for Jalen in the run game. So it goes both ways. I'm very confident. Jalen's obviously the guy, and we'll see. We'll see as he keeps going throughout the week, whether he's limited. When he gets a full practice in, to how much. He's probably not going to say a whole lot in his press conference, but we'll cover that in the upcoming videos. LaTerrence Perry with the 20 bomb at the buzzer. Appreciate that. Says they don't know what time it is. Let's go get that doggone. Let's go get that thing. Doggone it. There you go.
Yep.
Heck yeah.
Love it. They don't know.
On our way, baby.
They don't know.
One more game in the Super Bowl. It's wild. Just nuts. We're this close. We can make it happen. Appreciate you guys too. Again, thank you for the 100,000 subs. Just unreal. Absolutely ridiculous. Make sure to sub to Thomas, who's well on his way. Almost 80,000 subscribers. So give away the Smitty signed football for that one. But I guess we'll wrap up here as we normally do on these Wednesday links. Score prediction official. What are we going with for a Wednesday? It'll maybe change possibly as we get closer. But for a Wednesday, what would you go with?
30-23, Philadelphia. 7-point win.
Okay, 7 points. All right. I think it's. Do you know what it got up to officially?
That was 6.
Is it up to it now? Let's see. I'm gonna just.
I think it's 6.
I think you're right. Let's see. It is. Yes, it is 6. You're right. Okay, so 6. The total is 47.5. Yeah, I'm gonna go. I'll say 31. I'll say 31-20.
Okay. Wow. 11
points.
11. Yeah. 2 scores.
I'm pretty confident. I think they can run away with it. I think it may be closer early, but then run away with it late. Saquon, all that. So
okay,
that's what we'll go with.
Works for me.
Alrighty. everybody, we appreciate it. Again, reminder, we will not be streaming the game on Sunday because we will be at the game at the link. If you see us or see people that look like us, it probably is. But
It's definitely us.
as always, you guys know what it is. Go Birds.
Go Birds.